So I mean, that's a solid point, right? I mean, obviously you don't come from a fashion background, but you do have like a business background to a certain extent. So with this new fashion business, like how is that set up? Is it an LLC, an S corp, a C corp? Like what structure is behind this new business?
Right. So it's an S corp, and only for the mere fact that it's because I also have my medical device job, and that's the only way. That's the reason
Mm.
it's structured in that degree. And I couldn't go super into like the details of like each individual business. How should you structure it? But just in my particular case, because I do still have my job in medical devices, and I self fund my business. So my day job funds get funneled into Rare Cut, and because of that, I was advised to start an S corp.
Hmm. So that's definitely interesting. So let's talk about that journey for a minute, right? I mean, obviously now you're dibbling into fashion. You're diving headfirst really into fashion now. Your day to job is essentially medical, but your education was, I think, business marketing.
Yes.
So these are three different monsters, right? So like, let's talk about like that journey. Like, I mean, like, let's go back even further. Like, what kind of kid were you growing up, and how did that kid then go into college to get a marketing degree?
Ooh, I love that question, man. I really do. Okay, so as a kid, I didn't know. I think I heard someone. It might have even been Gary that said this, and it really resonated with me because I had this Gary Vaynerchuk. I had the same exact story when we were a kid. When I was a kid, rather, I was in kindergarten, and they asked us what we wanted to be, and I said like I wanted to do five things, and the teacher goes, "No, you can't do that. You can only pick one." And she's like, pick one. I'm like, businessman. Little did I know, I was kind of saying entrepreneur without knowing the word. But like, I was 5 years old. I was like, I want to do everything. Like, don't take the wind out of my sails. And look, here I am, right? And I'm doing it. But I was the type of kid, man, where I remember having lemonade stands in first grade and people coming up. And I remember the first time a customer and he gave me $1 and he's like, you're really good at this. Like, keep at it. And he gave me a high five and just getting that dollar. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. That really stayed with me, you know? And then baseball cards, of course. Like, there was a movie back in the day when I was in like fourth grade, and the movie was called Clueless. And my best friend's mom, was making these fancy pens, and they had a feather on top of them, and they were all like crafted pretty beautifully, actually. And she goes to my buddy, or her son, she goes, hey, sell these at school. And he's like, Ma, I don't want to sell that. Like, he had no interest. He's not a sales to this day. He's not a salesperson. For me, I was like, oh, I do it. And she's like, listen, if you do it, sell them for $3. So this is like, 1994 prices. So she's like, sell them for $3. And for everyone you sell, you get to keep $1. In, I think, a month and a half, in a very small school, I sold well over 500 pens, and it would have kept going too, except when I was in school, they called me to the principal's office and they sat me down and they go, hey, Anthony, this is a school, this is not a business. Even though school kind of is a business, but that's a whole nother discussion. And they go, you can't be selling these anymore because now everyone's coming to school selling things from their house, so this has to stop. And I said, I understand it sucked, but I left. And she goes, by the way, she goes, you should be proud of yourself. She's like, you do, everyone in the school has one of these pens. And I felt like a sense of pride from that. And yeah, man, I always like, I held multiple jobs. I did bartending. I always tried to do a whole lot. And you asked how I got into medical device.
Yeah.
So my uncle in Greece owns his own medical device distributorship.
Hmm.
Didn't know that was a thing. Didn't know that was a job. So I go to Greece and I see my uncle like living a pretty dope life, and I'm like, this is really cool. I'm like, Uncle, what do you do again? And he's like, come to the office with me. So he showed me around. He bring me on an appointment with him because over there it's a lot more relaxed. And I'm like, this job is awesome. So I remember being going back to, what do you want to do? So that conversation happened two times in my life. I told you about kindergarten. Second time, I think we're 11 years old, something like that. And they go around, like, all right, what's everyone want to be? So kid next to me is like, I want to be in the NBA, right? Another kid next to me, I want to be an astronaut. Like, Anthony, what do you want to be? I'm like, I want to sell medical devices. And they're like, what 10-year-old kid wants to sell medical devices? And they got a laugh out of it. However, I will tell you, that one kid is not in the NBA. That other kid is not an astronaut. I do sell medical devices. So listen, when you know what you want, there's power behind it. And when you really visualize what you want, and you find a way to make it happen. And not only did I get the job, but like I made sure to make my mark when I got there. I was like, I've been prepping for this my whole life. You're going to remember my name. And I got the accolades and trophies and trips and all that stuff to show for it because I knew what I wanted. And I wanted to prove myself and show people, you take a chance on me, it'll be the best decision you ever make. And I always try to prove people right. And if someone gives me a chance, I want to make them look good.